Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, September 5th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is Knight of Pentacles. Slow and steady wins the race. Masculine and feminine energy, as we were discussing, a lot of this work that we're seeing that is coming through as a result of coming out of this Mercury retrograde cycle has been building upon the pathwork of patience and perseverance. We are still, I'm going to keep saying this, we are still in the shadow period. We are not completely out of this yet. We've also got a lot of that Virgo new moon energy coming through. So this is a lot of rebuilding energy that we're seeing here. There's a lot of new work. We see that a lot of that patience or perseverance during that retrograde period, putting those seeds in the ground, allowing that point of fruition. So we see even now having those modalities, having those points of being methodical, taking one's time, taking the space that is required. This is why we see so much of this energy right now within divine union, potentially recalling some of their own energy at this time, because that ability of focusing, that ability of really staying committed towards what it is that you're trying to build for yourselves at this moment, this is requiring that sense of patience and perseverance and the vector of identifying, putting one thing in front of the other, not getting ahead of yourself, allowing things to kind of move on your own energetic timeline. There's a lot of energy right now. Feeling that slowdown coming out of the retrograde, this is the energy that at first may have felt some of that frustration around that slowdown, that is now learning how to bring some of that energetic slowness to the circumstances and situations that they're experiencing presently. Because we see even now that that was some of that overwhelm that was occurring. Right? Things picking back up, coming out of that retrograde, but not allowing oneself to feel overwhelmed, not allowing oneself to feel triggered, but just allowing that sense of methodicalness to come into play, building upon those energetic practices. This is a lot of that energy that is building upon, I keep getting, perseverance and patience as they move towards their manifestation goals. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the building of the trust process. And this is what we were articulating upon yesterday, because again, the issue with trust is, and it's a bit of a paradox, because even in the space of building trust, it requires a small iota of trust to be given. So being able to build forth in that way, we see that this is the energy that is starting small. They're not, and the important thing that I have to identify for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this isn't energy that's saying to one another, you have to trust me. This is the energy that is mirroring towards one another and recognizing and identifying and saying to each other that acknowledgement point, that trust is not just something that is freely given, but trust is something that is slowly, carefully, methodically earned. This is the energy that is building that trust between them, brick by bit, brick by brick, and seeing that progress, identifying and recognizing that progress, watching it occur. This is the energy that is feeling the stability that's coming through as they're starting to learn to trust again. But it's slow. This is slow work. It takes time, but the important thing is this is why the energy is feeling that this is something that is energetically real, because this isn't energy that is rushing through that trust process. This isn't the energy saying, I demand your trust, and if you don't give it to me, then that's a valuation point against you. This is the energy that is showing by giving forth in that way, slowly, carefully, how much intrinsic importance they put in the recognition point of what they are building together. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, this is a lot of I need to say there's a lot of energy in separation that is potentially going through experiences of separation right now, specifically around circumstances or situations wherein there may be a lot of expression of emotionality or desire that is being articulated. But if there isn't clarity that is being shown in relationality to the manifestation goals, a lot of the energy in separation is just saying, like, it's either there or it's not. It's not allowing for the emotionality to kind of get in the way, obfuscate what is the energetic commitment that someone is seeking. And in that ability of doing that, this is the energy, this is the Virgo season coming to bear, because this is the energy saying it's either there or it's not. The breakthrough that's occurring for a lot of the energy in separation is simply not overly internalizing it if it isn't present. Because this is that reminder that when you meet someone, it's not like their manifestation goals just like magically appear. These are energies that recognize that they're encountering one another and that they have desires. They have manifestation goals. So we see even now, this is the energy that's kind of looking towards someone and they're saying to themselves as they move forward, this is the manifestation. They're saying to themselves, if I can articulate what it is that I want to manifest in partnership, the manifestation is effectively going forward and saying, I am manifesting someone that also can do same. And recognizing that that isn't just the expression of emotionality to articulate what the energetic connection is, but rather being able to articulate what that looks like going forward. That is the breakthrough that's happening. And for a lot of the energy right now, this is the energy in separation saying to a certain extent to the universe, I'll wait. Because that's often what we have to do as we move through these energetic cycles. This is the energy that is holding on. They're going through an experience where they felt like their manifestation goal was challenged, but they managed to navigate forward through it and say, this is what I am energetically waiting for. And that's not something that, again, this is a lot of the energy saying that manifestation goal isn't something that is compromisable via just the expression of emotionality. It's either there or it's not. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is Judgment. And what we like about this is a lot, I gotta say, there's a lot of energy right now in separation that's kind of saying to a certain extent, like to the universe going, did I stutter? It's going, did I stutter? Because this is the energy that is, again, moving towards manifestation goals. It's not uncommon to start experiencing things that feel like they're close, but no cigar. Feeling like something that almost, and this is why they can feel energetically frustrating, you feel something that's like close to that, but if it isn't actually energetically there, we're seeing even here, this is the energy that's saying, I know what it is and I'm focusing on. But what happens in those experiences where something comes towards you that feels like it meets your manifestation, but suddenly you recognize that something is energetically missing? It builds into an ability to refine your manifestation goal. It creates the space of being able to go introspective within the self, to interrogate the self, to say what was energetically missing there that is required in order to identify what it is I'm seeking going forward. So the beauty for a lot of the energy in separation right now, that is that energetic choosiness that is helping you recognize what it is that you are truly energetically seeking, right? And that ability of doing that, it feels difficult, right? It can feel slow. It's a slow process. But the important thing that we're seeing for a lot of the energy in separation right now is it's an effective re-articulation to a certain extent in relationality to understanding and recognizing and I want to say, there's a lot of energy right now that's moving away from circumstances and situations in separation, and they're feeling the affirmation of saying to themselves that they're not willing to compromise their manifestation goal. Even in those circumstances wherein someone may have expressed the emotionality. This is the energy that's basically recognizing the difference between commitment that is not, commitment is not the expression of emotionality. Commitment is the articulation, commitment of what is going to occur going forward, committing oneself to the pathwork ahead. And so for a lot of the energy in separation, simply having that energetic breakthrough is what's allowing for that sense of continuing forward right now. And that in itself feels like a rather profound breakthrough that's happening. But even at the same time, there's a little bit of that energetic drag that we were seeing yesterday as we're coming out of that shadow period of someone and that's why we saw some of that fire coming through, a little bit of that final gift of Leo season, where the energy is not becoming reactive. They're being energetically strong, Like that's the energy that's saying I'm not being, like, this is the energy I can almost see, and like energy and separation saying I'm not being like reactive to it. I'm not arguing for it. I'm just holding firm to what it is that I'm energetically seeing. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's had those breakthroughs during the retrograde period, having that experience of having the expression point of someone that's able to articulate their emotionality while also articulating what their manifestation goals are, while also recognizing that the minute we lay those manifestation goals towards one another, that is that sense of building towards something, but feeling the security and the stability of what is true. And so we see even now, this is energy that's working through healing the trust issues of the past. But again, the reason that this energy is able to move forward in this way and isn't assuming that the past is occurring again, but utilizing the past as a gift that is giving clarity as to the difference between what was experienced in the past versus what is being experienced in the present, is specifically coming through right now with the energy being able to look at the past and see and recognize the difference between what was occurring in the past versus what is being received in the present. And again, a lot of that I'm seeing here is the difference between someone or situations where someone said, give me your trust, but not necessarily doing anything to earn the trust, versus those energetic connections now where there's that feeling and seeing someone that is conscientious, that is putting that work in, that is building that trust brick by brick by brick. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, this is just a lot more of that pathwork of perseverance and patience. Perseverance and patience, perseverance and patience, perseverance and patience. A lot of the breakthrough that's occurring right now for the energy having gone through that retrograde cycle was being able to continue to stay very focused on those on those goals. Building into that pathwork of purpose, we saw that one of the things that was so difficult is there was a lot of those energetic triggers that were occurring during that time that had to do with hitting the spaces and places of one's own ego. That's why we kept saying during that retrograde cycle, don't take it personally, get productive. Don't take it personally, get productive. Because we're seeing even now that the results of that perseverance, for masculine, being energetically patient, for feminine, continuing to put that effort and energy into things, but not immediately seeing the results of those actions. We're seeing even now, this is the energy that feels like that sense of determination within the self is the accomplishment point. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Hanged Man in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union. This is just a lot of that. I mean, I want to say this Virgo energy that we're walking into, coming out of all, like, I want to say this Mercury retrograde was profoundly emotional, like a lot of emotions coming to the surface, a lot of that emotional unpacking, if you will. And so we see even now that for masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, a lot of that work that we're seeing here, this is the energy that is feeling, I have to say this, there's something that occurred during that retrograde cycle that brought a lot of clarity and focus towards what it is that you're keeping and prioritizing as you move into this new energetic cycle. This is just the energy that is really refining upon what those priorities are. And this is a lot of the energy, and there's like a little bit of bullishness that I'm seeing here. There's and that's some of that Virgo energy that I'm seeing here, which is the energy that isn't allowing, trying to clear, trying to clear up any of that energetic confusion. Seeing things with a lot of clarity, allowing that clarity to kind of guide you going forward right now. A lot of that has to do with navigating so much of that egoic space during the Mercury retrograde process, but not allowing the ego to interfere versus what it is that you're building upon right now. So we see even now that for a lot of this energy, having those breakthroughs, it feels stabilizing. it feels like the focus right now, and there's austerity to this. I need to stress this. I see a lot of austerity coming through. They're saying energetic austerity, which could be, again, a lot of energy, being very discerning as to where they're putting their time, effort, and energy. Not wanting their energy to be wasted is what I'm getting right now for so much of this energy deep within divine union. But I don't even see it so much. I need to stress this. It's not the idea of wasting time. It is coming out of the retrograde cycle and recognizing the intrinsic value of one's time. And so this is the energy and that's why I was stressing it was really important not to take things energetically personally during that retrograde process, because the ability to navigate forward and to be to recognize the energy that values your own energetic time. This is some of this is some of that breakthrough that's occurring right now, because it's built and based upon the energy that recognizes and appreciates the energy around them, that doesn't take things energetically personally when energy within the divine union needs to prioritize. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is the trust process that's so difficult right now. And I want you to give yourself a little bit of credit if you're going into divine union right now, because I see even now, this is a fracture point. This is the breakthrough that at the same time creates the breakdown. Why does the breakthrough create the breakdown? Because if these are energetic equivalents where we see that something from the past was open-ended, right? That ability of moving into something and not being sure what the past was going to contain. Receiving the clarity of the past from the present experience immediately draws closure to those past experiences. So you can see even now that this is experiences. I'm seeing a lot of energy right now. I can see a lot of energy that's going into divine union saying, if I'm so happy, why am I so devastated? And this is why. You got to think of it like the roots of the tree, because like the clarity here is what we're seeing. This is the energy that is recognizing and getting that clarity in the partnership of the present, building into that pathwork of trust. And that light is shining into the shadow of the past and bringing that clarity via the comparison that suddenly allows for that point of closure going forward. So even here, we see that there's a door opening and a door closing at the same time. And even here, for the energy experiencing that, that can be the expansion point of feeling joy, but also working through like changing in some of the experience of the past into a grieving process. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, a lot of this energy in separation is just focusing, and this is some of that austerity that we're seeing right now as a result of the Virgo season that we're entering. This is the energy that is identifying and recognizing and saying to themselves, I keep getting the same message. The articulation of emotions is not commitment. The articulation of emotions is the articulation of emotions. You can be very emotional with someone, but it doesn't identify the desire to energetically commit towards someone. So this is the energy that is moving forward right now, away from circumstances or situations that we're not providing clarity and context in relationality to what the future holds. Commitment. Commitment literally means committing to the pathwork together. So this is the energy that if they didn't get that clarity, if someone, and even here, this is where some of that fire or fuel was coming through yesterday. If these were circumstances or situations where the expression of the emotions is coming through, but not the clarity as to the path going forward, this is a lot of the energy that's just making that energetic call and moving forward, focusing and prioritizing their manifestation goal and what they effectively want in partnership, and basically saying that they're not willing to energetically compromise on it. And that's very difficult right now, because, and I need to stress this, if you're in separation and you're feeling frustration, the thing you really need to ask yourself is, are you feeling frustration on something that you're recognizing is external to the self that would have previously devastated you because you would have overly internalized it? Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Hermit in its reversal. So this is that energy in separation of not overthinking, not overly internalizing an external problem, not overly internalizing something that is happening from without. This is simply the energy that is affirming to themselves, right? And this is a hard thing right now for some of the energy in separation. Because if this is the energy in separation that's going into that experience and seeing and recognizing and saying to themselves, this is where the breakthrough is, because this is the energy going, in the past, this would have been something that you would have brought into the self. This is the energy saying, I'm not going to overly internalize an external problem. This is the breakthrough that's happening in separation. This is simply the energy going, like, I'm getting a lot of this. Like, this is the energy saying, I am not going to over internalize an external problem. I'm going to recognize that the ability to move forward towards manifestation goals, it requires the ability to articulate upon them. It's not something that you feel like you need to shake out of someone. It should just be present. It needs to be expressed immediately. And so for a lot of the energy in separation right now, this modality of the articulating of what it is that you desire and aspire in partnership, finding an energetic connection that does the same, this is the energy that says, I'm not accepting anything that is not that. Because this is the energy that's basically saying in separation, how can I build with someone that isn't willing to be able to either isn't able or isn't willing to articulate upon what it is that they desire. And so that's just that experience that we see. That's a lot of the energy that, like, feeling that sense, like, that's how the energy is healing. And it's frustrating. I know, I can see it right now. There's a lot of energy right now that's frustrated. There's a lot of energy right now in separation and here it's like the lack of clarity is potentially rising here. But I have to say this again. If something that used to devastate you just frustrates you, congratulations, you're moving towards healing because you're not overly internalizing it. You're just seeing it, and the clarity of the past is giving you clarity to avoid navigating something in a way where, again, you would have built an energetic connection that was unhealed potentially, that only after you've built the emotional connection, you then recognize that there isn't any clarity forthcoming. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is a lot of the energy that is working on that trust process. This is a lot of that energy that's working on that trust process. And the anxiety here is the doubting of the self along the way. The anxiety here is the questioning of the self, because this is the problem when we have wounds that occur in the trust space. The unhealed lesson that often comes out of that is basically saying it was a mistake to trust. It's never a mistake to trust. We have to trust. Rather, this is a lot of that energy that's going through that process of awakening the trust process again by reaffirming the energetic commitment of observing, of being able to see and recognize that a healed energy will never demand trust. They'll recognize that it needs to be earned. It needs to be created. It needs to be mutually built. It's not a ball that you can just throw to someone. It is something that you build with them. It is something that you create brick by brick. So we see even now that having that observation point, recognizing and seeing something, feeling the shadow of the past that makes you doubt yourself, but then not letting yourself come into that space of assuming that the past is occurring again, but utilizing it as pathwork of observation in recognizing the difference between someone who potentially in the past demanded trust but was not willing to earn it versus someone that is putting forth towards you and showing you what it looks like to be able to build trust with another. This is that light that shines backwards, because this is the light of the present that is creating clarity on something that you potentially couldn't see before in the past. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union right now, this is a lot of this energy just getting very, very focused. Just getting very, very focused. And I'm telling you right now, this is why I kept getting that message coming through saying, don't take things personally during the retrograde. Because if there are energies here that have to kind of recall their energy right now, right? Not taking something energetically personally, but just navigating those spaces and places with compassion. This is so much of that work that we're seeing that is occurring right now, because this is the energy that feels that sense of release and relief If there are modalities wherein someone took something overly energetically personally that wasn't coming from a place of being personal, right? So even here we see that there's a little bit of that, like that energy that is focusing right now, and the energy moving forward in that way is also staying in alignment with itself, because that's more energy that's not taking things personally, that's recognizing and navigating those with a space of compassion, because they see and understand it within the self, and by understanding it within the self, you understand and recognize it outside around others. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the Devil card in its reversal. So again, it's healing. It's healing, but it's hard. It's healing, but it's hard. It's not easy, because for a lot of this energy within divine union right now, there's a lot of this path work here. And I want to say even now, there's some of this path work right now that's occurring for energy within divine union, which is the observational point in recognizing and identifying something that you would have taken energetically personally in the past, that now that you don't. That even here, we see that so much of that in itself is the energy that is like recognizing the changes within the self, but also giving that same grace to those around them. So even here with some of that energetic recall, or moving into that point of austerity, we recognize and identify that a lot of that work that's occurring here, it feels focused. It feels like I want to say it's like the Virgo season is coming in to like energetically cleanse anything that doesn't feel necessary, or feels like it's not coming into a space or place of appreciation, or taking something too energetically personally. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is why that is so hard. This is why that is so difficult right now. Because for a lot of this energy, I'm telling you even now, I keep getting the elation and the devastation. Because if these are energies that are coming into divine union, feeling and experiencing in real time what it feels like to have someone make that, recognizing that what is trust? Trust is the ability to be consistent and to make a consistent choice again and again and again and again. That is what trust is. That is what trust is, the consistency in choice. So we see even now there's a lot of energy that is working towards divine union right now, with energy that is expressing that ability to be energetically consistent. And in the moment that you receive something that is energetically consistent, if you're healing from a trust wound, wherein the trust wound was formed by someone who was not energetically consistent, this is energy that can't go back. Like there's energy that's experiencing something right now, and not only are they experiencing the elation of what it is that they're building forth with an energetic counterpart, but they're also getting the clarity and seeing something that has changed them so profoundly that they look back and go, I can never go back to that. Because that is what the healing is. The healing is the ability to see something that you could not see before, that then effectively moves you in a direction where you recognize that you yourself have changed. And that change is when you say, I could never go back now that I've seen that, now that I recognize that. So we see even now that a lot of that energy moving forward from a place of healing, it's elation, but there's also a bit of a mourning process that's starting to occur, because that mourning process is the ability to see something around experiences from the past that you might not have been able to see before had you not come into that modality of experiencing it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, and sometimes, and this is that activation of the trust process that almost articulates and dictates that sometimes something needs to hurt to heal, right? And when we're rebuilding trust, like that's the hardest one, because that hurts a lot, right? That ability of trusting, it hurts because it's scary, but also it immediately heals when that recognition of putting that faith forward is met in kind by the same. While for masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is why the energy is accepting no imitations, is what I'm seeing here. This is just energy in separation that is just went through some experience during the retrograde cycle, And if this was energy that was only receiving one part of what should have been a complete, like one part of the complete set of what is required for commitment, which is, again, commitment is the articulation of emotions matched with the ability to articulate what it is that you desire to manifest with another. If this is the energy that had someone trying to say, stay committed to me because here are my emotions, but we're not articulate and say, here's what I'd like you to do with it. This is just energy that's walking away from something. And this is the reason why, because this is the energy that's saying that ability of holding on to the manifestation goal and recognizing and identifying it, that's not a nice to have. This is the energy saying it's not something that should be waited upon. It is necessary in order to move forward. And so even now, this is energy doing that work and potentially even recognizing something that they would have potentially they would have allowed themselves to enter, potentially building into an unhealed karmic connection in the past, seeing the change within the self in relationality to how you're navigating a situation. This is how the manifestation goal changes you. A good manifestation, you'll know a good manifestation is working because it will change you in the process of you moving towards it. So we see even now that this is the energy that is recognizing the changes in their own judgment as they move forward, because this is the energy that is focusing on the manifestation goal, and they're prioritizing that, and they're not coming into a space where it's changeable or it's not or it's flexible. This is the energy that's staying very firm in terms of what that is, and that ability of experiencing that is a lot of the energetic breakthrough that we're seeing, because this is the energy that's just not moving towards partnership and saying, well, if I stick around, maybe it'll become what I want it to manifest. This is the energy saying it's either present or it's absent. It's either there or it's not there. It's not something that needs to be worked on. It's not something that needs to be changed, because when we move towards someone and say something's not there, but maybe if I stick around, it'll change, that's us basically saying I'm building into potential. I'm not building into what I see. I'm building into what I aspire will become, something that it is not. And so we see even now, this is the energy that feels and recognizes that healing, that's the healing of the self. That's the healing of the self in the judgment choice, in recognizing and saying, I'm not going to enter a relationship where I feel like I'm waiting for someone to change. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Judgment card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. And with the Three of Cups, the thing I'm seeing about this right now, I keep getting that there's something happening right now for energy in separation. This pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get back to it. This is the energy that feels like, I'm telling you even now, they're saying to me, the frustration that is a cause for celebration. Because this is the energy that isn't like bowed low over it. This isn't the energy that's like mourning. This is the energy that's just frustrated, right? Like it's frustrated. And that frustration point is celebration, because it's showing the fact that you're not overly internalizing something, you're just observing it, and that in itself is an energetic cause for celebration, because this is the energy that said, whew, I just avoided something that would have been difficult. I just avoided something that was already giving expressions of being energetically difficult, and the energy is going like, whew, like happy, because like that. It's feeling, I want to say, it's feeling the sense of like validation, right? It's the energy that's moving away from something and feeling validated in the process, right? And it doesn't say that it's easy, but it's the energy that feels like in a way they have accomplished something, because it's a point of celebration for the self in seeing something and recognizing that your own way of navigating something has changed. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the reactivation of the trust process. And I can see it even now. This is the energy that is going through something that feels very energetically scary to a certain extent. Like this is the energy that's feeling that sense of trying to trust and feeling that anxiety of the past that looms forward, and kind of like, you know, makes you say, oh, don't trust anyone, and like letting that sense go through and say, I can trust, because this is not the past. This is the energy that's holding back the past and going, this is not that, because this person is showing me that every time I bring trust towards them, they return it back to me in kind. This is the energy that's moving with energy in alignment, because this is the trust that is giving forth towards one another, that's building brick by brick by brick. And that slow process, this is the energy that's moving that anxiety into energetic excitement every moment that trust fall is caught. Every moment that someone has that trust fall and they recognize and they feel the person that's still there, this is the energy that's learning how to trust again. So again, and even in the process of doing that, then the past, that light of the past is shown and shows you something that you could not see. So that's why we see the elation and the devastation that is cause for celebration. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within divine union, this is just a lot of the energy, I gotta say, this is energy within divine union circling the wagons to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that in a way of basically saying there's a lot of energy right now. It's the Virgo season. Expect a lot of austerity that's potentially coming to the forefront here. Becoming very energetically focused. Prioritization is key right now, because we see even now that a lot of this work that's happening during this season is really kind of driving forward and keeping one's focus on what is considered the energetic priorities right now. And so we see even now that energy navigating forward in such a way where, again, and this is why I said it was really important during that retrograde season not to take things personally. The energy that recognizes that everything can be done on the vector of time and priority. This is the energy that is patient, is the energy that's like moving forward together, because this is that feeling I'm starting to see of the patience that feels like it's beginning to energetically pay off, because this is the energy that's getting more methodical during the season, that's allowing for some of those expansion points, while continuing to get clarification between our Judgment card in its upright and our Hanged Man in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Sun card in its reversal. It's hard, because I see even now, this is some energy within divine union that at the same time that they're moving forward in some ways, they may be moving away for some energy if there's that feeling of someone taking something too energetically personally, right? And this can often happen. And this is why I was telling you during this retrograde cycle, it was so important not to take things personally. Because if this was a modality where you were going through something difficult, right? And again, having that sense of compassion, and you're going through something energetically difficult, but someone is taking it personally, you can see how there can be a little bit of that pushing away from energy in that modality, because it's feeling like you're going through something difficult that's requiring you to step back, and the energy around you isn't able to facilitate the compassion necessary in order to continue to allow that to go forward to a certain extent. So I see even now that same sense to a certain degree between elation and disappointment that's occurring here in some spaces and places has to do with so much of this work that we're seeing that is requiring that sense of not taking things energetically personally, right? Because this is the energy that if someone is taking something energetically personally around you, you feel devastated because you can't change their perspective. You can just observe that it's occurring. So we see even now that this could be energy that is articulating that frustration and that disappointment to those around them that aren't taking things energetically personally. So we see even, I told you, the elation and the devastation. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is that same feeling. This is why the energy is saying, this is the energy saying, like, if I'm so happy, why am I feeling so sad at the same time? Because this is what we call a heart opening. A heart opening is that modality where you can experience all the range of emotions at once, right? Like that's what a heart opening is. It's feeling the full broad spectrum of emotions. And emotions can be complicated. So we see even now that there's a lot of that energy that's having the trust process reactivating within them. And they're feeling the elation in terms of that occurring, but they're getting the clarity on what potentially damaged the trust in the first place. So that is that feeling of feeling both the elation and the devastation that is the expression of the heart opening process. But even here we see that that's allowing, feeling that energetic, like feeling like, and again, it can feel a little bit like, high, like being in both places at once, inhabiting both spaces at the same time. And here we see that that's a lot. But the fact that the energy is able to carry it forward in that way, that in itself is showing some of the articulation or amplification of the breakthrough, because this is a lot of that energy that is recognizing and saying to themselves, I'm seeing with clarity, and that's what's making something harder, because that clarity is coming to a past experience that I could not see via the present. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. A lot of this energy in separation, this is just the energy that this is the same elation, and this is the elation in, this is the opposite, because this is the elation in not feeling devastated. This is the elation in feeling disappointed and not devastated. If these are experiences where energy is moving away from something because they recognize, they're like, I could not get a manifestation goal out of this person no matter what I did. No matter, like, they came towards me, they expressed all the emotionality, never gave a single stitch of clarity as to what the manifestation goal was. This is the energy saying, I am feeling elated that I'm not devastated. I'm feeling elated that I'm just disappointed. Because this isn't the energy that's saying to themselves, why is this happening? This is the energy saying you can't turn a rock into a rose. You can't change one thing into another. If something isn't there, it's not the responsibility to try to make it become something that it's not. And the fact that the energy is recognizing that and just saying, like that, and continuing forward, like that is the expansion point, because that's the energy that feels like they can carry the frustration, but it's not moving them off of their own path work. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hangman in its reversal in combination with our Hermit in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Good cards. King of Cups, we love to see this right now. This is going to have a different impact on masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine energy right now in separation, if this is occurring, I got to tell you right now, even here, this is a lot of that masculine energy that is feeling a bit of that energetic balance here. This isn't masculine energy in separation that is trying to energetically force something. This is just the masculine energy coming into that space of like inhabiting that sense of self that allows for that moment of energetic balance. So this is very beautiful to see for a lot of the masculine energy in separation, because this is a more of that energy of masculine reaffirming and rebuilding to themselves that context of saying that the ability to both express to feminine what one's emotions are and then articulate what one's manifestation goals are. They will never move a feminine away from you that desires the same things. And in fact, that ability to articulate that is the groundwork of building those healthy relationships. Because we see even now, this is the masculine energy that almost articulates and says, why would I want to be in an energetic connection with someone that moves away from me in the expression of what my manifestation goals are? I want to be in an energetic connection with someone that when I tell them about what I desire in the future, it's like it creates that feeling of joy. It's a joy that is expanded and shared upon. So we see even now, I told you, so much of this energy of masculine and separation right now is healing from some experiences in the past wherein, again, there's a lot of this masculine energy that's reteaching themselves things that feels like it's completely oppositional to anything that they were taught previously. Because again, this is the masculine energy reaffirming to themselves that the feminine energy, I keep getting, feminine energy does not, likes to be surprised, but they like to be surprised in an environment that they feel secure. And when the feminine does not have clarity in terms of what's going to occur in the future, that doesn't feel like a surprise. It feels like an aspect of fear, right? So this is the masculine. I see a lot of masculine recognizing the difference between the feminine desiring and enjoying a happy surprise versus the feminine constantly being in a state of fear because they don't know energetically what's happening as they continue forward. So this is a lot of the masculine energy in separation coming into that space of saying to themselves that when you're able to articulate both your emotions to feminine and also the ability to express what your dreams are, then what you're really doing is you're saying to the feminine, I value protecting you at all costs, that your protection comes higher than my desire, because that allows for the ability of choice and the feminine to move towards you in a way that doesn't make the feminine feel afraid, but feels the stability and the security of the trust that you're creating with them in the process of co-creating a partnership experience together. While for feminine energy in that modality, this is the feminine saying the same thing to themselves as they move forward, which is saying the expression of emotionality is not partnership. Masculine energy, look, 2 cups. We'll have both. We'll be able to articulate both what the emotions are while also articulating what the manifestation goals are. And this is the feminine saying, the masculine that can provide both, the articulation of the emotions while also the articulation of what they desire going forward. This is the feminine saying, I am manifesting a masculine that can provide both energetically. So we see even now, this is the energy staying very focused on that pathwork as they continue forward. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is that process that is coming through building and based upon the ability of identifying and recognizing that that is what is you're providing towards one another. And so masculine is going through that same trust process, because if this is the masculine that says to feminine, this is how I feel about you, this is what I dream, can you hold these for me? Every day the masculine brings those forward, and the feminine says to the masculine every day, yes, yes, yes. The masculine also feels that sense of energetic stability because it is that sense of feeling that that is not something that they're doing energetically alone. They're building that trust with feminine together. While for feminine, the same thing is occurring. If every day the masculine is returning with the same manifestation goal to feminine, this is the feminine that's building into that trust process and saying, this is not a masculine that is shiftable or changeable or changes their manifestation goals. This is a masculine that is showing me time and again that this is that modality where this is a masculine that can hold on to the things that they care about and also has the consistency to energetically protect those things in the process of holding them. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, a lot of this work that we see that is occurring within divine union has to do with those modalities or experiences wherein we recognize that this is the energy that I told you guys not to take things personally during the retrograde cycle, because there's a lot of energy right now. And especially with masculine, if there's energy here where someone is taking something energetically personally, and you're kind of making some, like you're working through some things right now in such a way that you're trying to amplify or articulate to a certain extent, what that is. We see even now that so much of this work, and this is where some of that, I want to say, this is some of that frustration or some of that energetic fire that's coming in that we saw yesterday. This is the energy that says, I can't change. This is both of the energies effectively saying, I can't change if someone's taking something energetically personally. I can just observe it and let that kind of inform me as I continue moving forward. So we see even now for masculine, a lot of that is coming through in a sense of recognizing the balance that you're able to find within the self. And this is where that patience is coming through for the energy deep within divine union. Because if these are modalities where masculine would have allowed themselves to get triggered or would have allowed themselves to get frustrated, but instead they're getting focused. This is the masculine that feels like they've overcome an energetic hurdle in the self, in the process of being able to stay balanced throughout that circumstance or situation. While for feminine, feeling that sense of the masculine that is able to, even when you have those moments of frustration, is able to, again, allow for that sense of clarity, helping you work it through as well. We see that there's a lot of feminine energy right now that is looking towards the energy around them that feels like it is protective. And the energy that is protective is the energy that doesn't take things energetically personally, right? It's the energy that navigates spaces and places with compassion. So a lot of this work occurring across all of the frequencies right now, continuing to get clarification between our Hermit card in its reversal in combination with our Devil card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Swords in its reversal. So we see even now so much, so much of this energy that we see that is being navigated right now coming into divine union is, I want to say, observation and acceptance in relationality to what feels like it can heal versus what feels like it's, it has to be navigated. I can see it even now. There's so much of this energy within divine union that is staying so energetically focused, if you will, on what feels like it is the priority. That a lot of that energy I keep seeing is like, I want to say, it's like, it feels to me like the Hermit energy, but it's like the Hermit energy that's like coming from a state of compassion and kind of having to step back to a certain extent. And if there's a modality here where someone has to emotionally or energetically step back from something for the sake of their own self, and someone else is taking it personal in the process, you can see how difficult that is. I told you the elation and the devastation, because this is the energy that just kind of utilizes that as a point of clarity, right? They utilize it as a point of observation. But even in that observational point, there's a lot of deep acceptance towards it. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's healing a lot. There's healing that's coming through right now within that frequency. And so much of that healing that we are identifying right now has to do with those circumstances or experiences wherein we just recognize and identify that this is the energy that's just, I want to say, there's so much of this here that we're seeing that is just kind of allowing for that state or space of being able to heal from the past experiences in the process of rebuilding into those points of trust. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, so much of that work in separation right now, I'm going to say it again, it's the feeling of disappointment instead of devastation. If these are circumstances where someone was not able to bring forth a manifestation goal, and you're not taking it, you're not creating rigidity there, you're just accepting it, you're just moving forward, you're feeling frustrated, but you're not feeling devastated, that in itself is the expression in terms of how far you've come to heal, because you're not internalizing an external problem. You're recognizing it for what it is, and you're moving forward and holding your manifestation goal in the process, continuing to get clarification between our Three of Cups in combination with our Sun card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our High Priestess in its reversal. So this is, again, masculine and feminine energy right now. A little bit of a different feeling that's happening in separation. I'm going to say a bit more frustrating. A bit more frustrating for feminine. A bit more frustrating for feminine. I'm just seeing this here. Because for a lot of the masculine energy, that ability of not taking something energetically personally, that understanding point of saying to oneself, if someone does not desire to manifest the same things that you desire to manifest, then that's something that just creates a sense of peace within the self. You're not taking it personally. You're just allowing yourself to move forward. We see even here that so much of that energy for masculine is creating more of a sense of balance. For feminine, there's more frustration. For feminine, there's more frustration here, because so much of that frustration that I'm seeing around circumstances and situations in this modality has to do with, again, the ability, I want to see, I see it even here. This is the feminine energy that does not, that feels more frustrated towards masculine coming towards them in a way of not being able to articulate manifestation goals, because it makes the feminine feel like they're not being valued. They're feeling more like an energetic commodity, right? Like there's so much of this work that we're seeing here where the feminine gets frustrated. They get, like there's more of a fire that happens there, because it's bringing up that feeling of feminine not only moving away from a circumstance like that, but also kind of looking at it and saying like the audacity, right? It's almost like feeling like the audacity, because again, when feminine experiences those, feminine is very used to those experiences of masculine coming towards, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine is very used to that experience of masculine that comes towards the feminine and demands things of the feminine, instead of recognizing and wanting to give forth to the feminine. And so we see even now that this is a lot of the feminine kind of like feeling like a little bit of this work that they're doing as they move forward in terms of their manifestation goals is a lot of that same space of like saying to oneself that that experience is one that the feminine is saying, I'm looking for the masculine that recognizes and wants to build with me. Doesn't just look towards me as something to be energetically possessed, but rather to be something that is like someone to co-create with. So we see even now that so much of that energy working through that is feminine, that is keeping their manifestation goals, again, towards masculine energy that has the ability to both articulate the emotions while also articulating the manifestation goals. That King of Cups energy. While for masculine, this is the masculine that is effectively looking towards feminine in such a way of identifying and recognizing a feminine that they hope to build with and not build around. So you see even now how close these energies are to potentially coming into connectivity, because they're moving away from what is not that. Continuing to get clarification on these cards between masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is why that trust process feels more energetically frightening for the feminine. This is why that trust process is more difficult for the feminine. Because if these are modalities and experiences where masculine is building forth towards feminine, this is the masculine coming into that experience of really feeling the security and stability of what it is that they truly desire. This is a lot of the masculine energy that recognizes how far they've come in their own journey to be able to focus and prioritize and know what it is that they desire to hope to make manifest with feminine. That's building that sense of emotional vulnerability that is strength in order to articulate to the feminine from a point of vulnerability that allows for the ability to build forth with feminine in that way. For masculine, that ability of doing so, that's just becoming energetically consistent. That's kind of being able to have a space to prove to feminine that you are in fact in that modality. And again, this is the masculine that's in that space that recognizes that that is the journey of, again, continually energetically showing the feminine via the consistency and integrity that you have that ability of building forth in a way that you are energetically protective of the things that you care about. For feminine, there's more anxiety there, because for the feminine energy navigating those spaces and places, these are spaces and places where, and again, if that was experiences where masculine was demanding trust but not earning it, this is harder for the feminine, because this is the feminine that's learning to energetically trust in a space where they've already experienced those wounds. So we see even now there's a little bit of this energetic recovery that's occurring right now for these energies coming into divine union. And for a lot of this right now, this is the masculine that is feeling that anxiety of the feminine saying, give me the time to show you. Don't put those shadows of the past on me. Let me show you time and time and again that this is something that is different. Let me show you that I can provide this to you. Let me show you that this is something that you can rely upon. And feminine is also coming forward in that way, while masculine is also feeling that sense of trust in the feminine that's able to meet the masculine in the same way, and also building into that space of the feminine saying to, like, the masculine saying to the feminine, and the feminine saying, I still feel the same. I can trust in this. I can build upon that trust. So I told you this is a slow process, but these are the energies that are learning how to trust again as they go. Continuing to get clarification between our Sun card in its reversal in combination with our King of Cups. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, I want to say there's something that's occurring right now that's more energetically frustrating for feminine than it is for masculine. And I can see even now that for a lot of that masculine energy, being energetically protective of the feminine, working through that in such a way, I see even now, this is how the energies are helping one another. Because for a lot, I see even now, for a lot of the feminine energy at this time, there's still more of that work that is occurring in feeling, I want to say, there's anxiety. Feminine is working through this feeling of being in that modality of worrying about what others think or worrying about what others feel. I see this happening here a lot. We've been encountering this in a lot of different ways. And so, again, one of the healing aspects that we see that is occurring right now for so much of this energy deep within divine union is masculine almost reaffirming to feminine in such a way and saying, don't place your value on what others energetically think. Place your value on knowing who you are within. Don't let others create that space of you doubting yourself. Let it energetically, like I can see masculine almost saying to feminine, let it reaffirm your own commitment towards yourself. Because masculine's I'm just seeing here, there's something that's happening even now where masculine is a little bit more comfortable doing that right now. Right? Like I can feel like masculine has, and I want to even say this, there's something about this where masculine has this perception on the difficulties that the feminine is experiencing to a certain extent. And a lot of it has to do with that sense or that space of the feminine like doubting themselves because energetically they're moving into a space of having a breakthrough. But it feels very energetically isolating in the process. Like I just see a lot of this work that's occurring right now for the energy deep within divine union. And a lot of this healing that's happening within divine union is masculine kind of providing reassurance to feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to every step of the way. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Sun card in its reversal in combination with our King of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Fool card. Now, this is for the energy deep within divine union. This Virgo season's like clean slate kind of energy. New path work, new directions, new opportunities. Like this is a lot of that, this is a lot of that work that we're just seeing. That the energy within divine union is like they're having breakthroughs. Like there's a lot of breakthroughs that are occurring here. But at the same time, I just keep seeing that there's something about this that like it's allowing for that ability of taking new approaches or trying new things by also recognizing the hurdles that are present that are allowing for some of those expansion points in relationality to those experiences. And some of it I'm seeing here. I see new ideas, new projects, creativity coming to the surface. But all of it, the thing about it is like this is more of that retrograde shadow, which is like the frustration that creates the innovation. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is that trust process. This is the energy that's coming to activate and learn how to trust again. And every day it feels like it's like each day another one of those bricks is being built. So even here, this is the energy that's building into that pathwork of consistency because this is the energy that's learning how to trust again. And each time, it feels like a reaffirmation. It's like a reaffirmation again and again and again and again. And we see even here, but this is the energy that's like building into that space of trust falling into each other. And again, feeling the anxiety and the clumsiness, but also the joy of that process as they continue forward. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is a lot of energy that is stepping off into new energetic cycles. This is energy that is focusing on the manifestation goals, come what may, like, beyond everything. And even here we see, I just want to stress this. Do you see how close these energies are to potentially coming into connection right now? Right? There's so much of this energy here that we're seeing, that we're identifying, that are taking, like, moving in that space of holding the manifestation goal, like above, I want to say, like above the desire to potentially be in partnership, but instead discerning, utilizing that power of discernment as the vehicle to, like, identify the energetic connections that feel like they're healthy and healed versus the ones that start to create the unhealed karmic connections. This is the energy that's taking that, and they're moving forward. They're just, and again, like the healing part for masculine is masculine not taking something energetically personally. The healing aspect for feminine is feeling frustrated but not devastated, right? Like, this is feminine energy moving forward with a little bit of, like, the audacity. Like, the audacity is like what's driving the feminine forward to a certain extent. But both energies are both, like, moving towards one another. They're moving towards their manifestation goals by recognizing where the manifestation goal is not. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Cups in its upright and our Ace of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Swords in its upright. So this is the thing about it, the thing with and I have to say, this is some of the hurdle that is being navigated for some of the energy that's moving forward at this time. Because I got to tell you, I see that there's a lot of energy in separation. It just feels like they had to make a hard decision. Someone that was potentially just expressing the emotionality towards how they felt towards them, but not giving the clarity as to what they wanted going forward. So we see even now, like, this is a lot of energy. It's like, it's not that something doesn't hurt, but being able to carry that hurt, but recognize and understand the nature of the situation, that makes it bearable. This is the energy that feels the difference between, I want to say, a heart expansion point versus a heartbreak. What is the difference between a heart expansion point versus a heartbreak? A heart expansion point is understanding the pain that we're feeling, understanding the source of that pain, identifying and recognizing it, being able to see it makes it bearable to carry. Heartbreak is feeling the pain of something and not understanding why, not understanding the reasons, not understanding the cause, feeling that sense of, like, confusion that occurs when something is painful when it doesn't need to be, or it feels like that pain is unnecessary, like that shock to the system. So even here we see that energy having that sense of disappointment, but understanding and carrying that clarity forward. This is the energy that is effectively saying, I feel that expansion in terms of someone caring, but I'm not willing to relinquish the manifestation goal, which makes it clear as to why they are moving forward, that allows that to immediately become an act of healing instead of energetic pain. Continuing to get clarification between our High Priestess in its reversal and our Fool card in its upright. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is what I keep seeing about that space or place of elation and devastation. Elation and devastation, because if these are energetic connections that we are identifying, wherein we see that the energy is identifying and recognizing, having those breakthrough points, having those modalities wherein, again, they're building trust again. But every step of the way, something is energetically painful. Every step of the way, something is difficult. But at the same time, that sense of trusting and then immediately feeling the validation and having that trust and feeling the security. We see even here that so much of that energy is navigating forward in such a way that it feels like a breakthrough point. It feels like an expansion process. It feels like that sense of healing, because this is the energy that's healing from the past in the experience of having that healing occurring in the present. But it's again, it's like the reactivation, it feels painful, but then immediately it comes through, like in that sense of healing. Continuing to get clarification between our high priestess, well, for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now. So much of this work that I'm seeing that is occurring within divine union, it has to do, it feels like it has to do with accepting the situations as they are. Like there's a lot of the energy within divine union right now that is looking at something and really asking themselves what feels like it can heal versus what feels like it cannot. Like this is just that point of acceptance. And so we see even here again, and this is why I was saying it was so important not to take something personally going through that retrograde process. If you're going through something difficult and someone's taking it personally, it's painful because it feels like they can't see you. It feels like they're not being able to see past their own self to what you're energetically going through. So we see even now, like that's a lot of that energy that's moving forward in such a way, and they're holding the burden of experiencing that, but they're also surrendering to it. So it feels bittersweet, but it's also the energy that understands and recognizes and using that to like kind of inform them as they go forward, right? And it's hard, right? It's like, it's almost like requiring a little bit of like, I want to say energetic convalescence, if you will. Simply in that experience of not feeling like someone can see you. Continuing to get clarification, but even in that expression point, this is how the energy and divine union is assisting each other, because they're almost both feeling that in some way, and they're able to articulate upon it. Continuing to get clarification between our high priestess in its reversal and our fool card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Cups in its reversal. So I have to say, even now, there's a lot of that work that I see as being facilitated in recognizing and identifying the energetic connections around the self right now that feel like they're productive, they feel like they're helpful, they feel like they're holistic, they feel like they're beneficial, versus what occurs in those modalities wherein someone like I want to say here, it's like these are those experiences wherein, again, if someone is pulling back energetically from something and someone is taking it personally, like it almost further amplifies the disparity, right? It almost adds clarity to something, you know? So we see even now that there's so much of this energy that's navigating, like I see a lot of the energy within divine union articulating about those energetic connections and giving each other clarity and relationality in terms of how to proceed forward to a certain extent. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, so much of this work that I see that is happening right now, coming into divine union, I want to say is built upon or based upon that observational point in terms of, again, the anxiety and fear, like what happens when we're building into that space of trust. There's always that anxiety that trust is not, we're putting it in a place that like it's not going to be met, right? But what is the energy doing right now? The energy right now that is coming into divine union, they're both feeling that, right? And this is the energy, that's what's beautiful about this, as you can see even now, this is the feminine energy that is feeling that anxiety and fear from the past, but trusting the energetic process. And this is the masculine energy that's moving towards the feminine that, again, isn't asking or demanding that trust, but saying to the feminine, give me a chance to prove it to you today. Give me a chance to prove it to you today. Give me a chance to prove it to you today. Because this is the energy of the masculine that recognizes that commitment isn't just a one it and done it. It's something that you bring towards something over and over and over again. And so this is the energy that is healing from the past experiences and the past connections via that space of acknowledging how hard it is to trust. And that compassion and recognizing how hard it is to trust, that in itself, that conscientiousness, is the expression of compassion. because this is the energy that holds the ability of another to trust them in high esteem in the process. Continuing for energy and separation right now, this is the energy and separation that's simply accepting no, it's not, it's accepting, it's accepting no, it's recognizing the different, that they're recognizing the connections between what feels like it's an alignment towards your manifestation goals versus energetic connections that you feel like would move you out of alignment in terms of those manifestation goals. And I just keep seeing that there's a lot of energy that had to navigate that retrograde season, potentially having someone expound and express upon the emotions, but not giving clarity as it relates to the manifestation goals. And this is the energy that, like, the ability to see that, that's the gift of some of those past experiences, because this is the energy that doesn't need to stick around to wait. This is the energy that's like, it's not there. I can see that because this is the energy that's already been down that pathwork before. This is the energy saying better to recognize that and identify it now rather than to build into something and then suddenly realize that it's lacking. Like, this is the energy that feels the relief and the breakthrough in seeing something energetically sooner. Masculine, not taking that personally, feels like the breakthrough point. Feminine, it's taking it personally. I actually see that the breakthrough point for feminine to a certain extent is taking it personally. This is the feminine that says, like, this is the feminine that almost like feels that amplification, like, and this is why there's a little bit more fire here behind the feminine healing, because this is the feminine that says, I see that, right? Like the feminine going, I see it, I recognize it, and I'm not energetically tolerating it. And that lack of ability to tolerate something is what's allowing for that expansion point wherein you're able to move towards your manifestation goals. Continuing to get clarification between the Fool card and its upright in combination with our Three of Swords and its upright. May I have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Wands and its reversal. So this is why this feels more energetically difficult for the feminine energy, because this is simply the feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is why, if this is feminine energy moving away from circumstances and situations in that modality, this is why it can feel so frustrating for feminine, because when feminine experiences that, there's either one of two different things occurring. This either a modality where masculine does not know what they effectively want, and they aren't able to articulate it to those around them, which, again, if that's coming from a place of fear, there's always that hope that potentially masculine could build into the sense of courage to be able to articulate what it is that they dream with the feminine. Or it's a masculine whose manifestation goals are so beyond what they imagine the feminine desires that they're not in the space of wanting to articulate them. And for feminine, again, this is why it's something moving away from something in such a way feels like it's energetically bittersweet, because this is the feminine saying it could be one, it could be the other, but honestly, there's no way to energetically tell. And honestly, it kind of comes out in the same way in either experience. It results in the same result. That sense of waiting for someone to build up the energetic courage, it's almost coming through in such a way that the feminine's like, the risk is too great. And that's the feminine itself also feeling and navigating that pain, because this is the feminine energy that holds on to that hope that, again, even in their own pathwork of moving forward, it's one that feels like it's requiring more of a heightened level or degree of discernment. Masculine, a lot of the difficulty for the masculine that's healing in separation is that recognition point of moving towards healed feminine and seeing that a lot of that feminine energy is potentially carrying wounds from unhealed masculine energy. Masculine energy that may have, again, not necessarily built forth from a place of honesty and trust with the feminine, but what do we see a lot of the masculine in separation doing? Acting as an energetic protector to the feminine. Recognizing and identifying that when you heal the self, that is the best way that you can heal feminine, because when you approach feminine, you're able to both express your emotions and also tell the feminine what it is that you aspire and desire going forward. What you really say to feminine is, I protect you at all costs. I protect you at all costs, even when we're not energetically together, because I protect you by knowing myself. And I always amplify the fact that by articulating to you what I feel and what I desire, I am recognizing that I am giving you the energetic choice in building with me. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is why this process is feeling so energetically painful, because this is masculine looking towards feminine and saying, I am going to protect you. I am going to protect you. And this is the feminine that's healing from those wounds and saying, I have not been protected. I have not been protected. So we see even now that these are those energies that are moving forward and building in that process of trust. This is what they are communicating to one another, right? And that is that masculine energy basically saying to feminine, give me the opportunity to show you again and again and again. And this is the feminine going, I'm going to give you the opportunity to show you. And I am also, through my own courage and strength in doing that, showing you that I will protect you in kind. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union, so much of this work that we see is occurring right now, for the energy deep within divine union, this is, I have to say, this is a little bit harder because this is both masculine and feminine energy being very, like, I want to say, energetically protective, if you will, protective of their energy. Masculine is working on being energetically protective in terms of, again, being patient and not stepping out of alignment in relationality to what they mean versus what they say in moments of feeling reactive. Feminine is working on being protective, energetically protective, by potentially needing to step back and focus on the self, but feeling the anxiety and fear of those around them and how they judge them in the process. So we see even now that both of these energies are being very, like, discerning about that. They're being very energetically, like, protective of their energy, and they're articulating to one another along the way, because that work that we're seeing is again, this is more of that healing and building into trust. And a lot of that work, it's hard. And one of the difficulties about this, and I have to say this, is masculine being able to have that perception, seeing the perception and perspective of the feminine. Like, this is the energy that's able to add clarity to one another in the process, because this is the energetic equivalent of identifying and recognizing something and effectively seeing, like, what that is. And so we see even now, like, this is that path work where, again, feminine is helping masculine articulate through things that would have potentially felt more frustrating in the past. Masculine is helping feminine build into those strong energetic boundaries as they proceed forward. So both of these energies acting as clear mirrors to one another as they proceed forward. While for masculine and feminine energy, continuing to get clarification, final card in today's spread between our Two of Cups in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Wands in its reversal. So again, this is, I'm telling you even now, this is still more of that retrograde energy, coming to the forefront, if you will. There's more of this retrograde energy that I see is effectively happening here. And so a lot of it has to do in the realms of planning and communication. So just remember, we're not completely out of the retrograde yet. So continue to be energetically mindful, continue not to take things personally, continue to, facilitate in such a way that, and I'll tell you even now, the beauty of, like, what's happening right now for the energy within divine union is being able to articulate on the limitations is what is effectively allowing for the breakthrough. Having those experiences right now, doing that energetic work, focusing on those things. What we're seeing here is, like, this is identifying the blockage in order to come into a point of solution. But first, like, today might be a lot of that expression of the frustrations. But even here we see that is that modality that happens in divine union, which is, like, articulate what the problem is so that way it can become a path clearing. You can't have a path clearing until you identify what the hurdle is. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that is effectively recognizing and identifying like what those limitations are, what those blockages are. This is more of that work that is healing from the past, even in the process of coming into partnership, because this is the energy that is suddenly getting the clarity as to what wasn't being provided in the past via the energy of the counterpart that's giving forth and building that trust in the present. And again, it feels devastating to a certain degree. It feels frustrating, but it's also like helping, like that clarity is the elation and devastation point. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, I just see that a lot of the breakthroughs that are happening for energy and separation right now is just identifying what the hurdles are sooner, seeing an energetic connection and saying, well, there's the problem, and being able to see the problem and identify it and even potentially articulate it. This is what's allowing a lot of that energy to move forward and have those breakthroughs right now. Bottom of, and it is different for masculine and feminine. For masculine, it is feeling that limitation and not taking it energetically personally. For feminine, it's feeling that and taking and almost taking it personally. I can see it. This is the feminine that's getting like, but not getting reactive, just being very like clear in relationality to what their manifestation goals are. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Six of Cups in its reversal. Mindfulness about not building unhealthy karmic connections. There's so much, this is that Virgo season. There's so much of this, I want to say this austerity that's coming through right now in relationality to energy. Because this is the energy that is just being very mindful of not building unhealthy karmic connections. And so for a lot of the energy, the gift that's occurring right now in separation is being able to recognize and see something that occurred in the past that is informing you in relationality to how you're moving forward in the present. And that can be very difficult because it can feel triggering at the time that you experience it, but it's also feeling like reaffirming. And in a way, it's, again, it's like one of those situations where I'm not saying, it's like one of those moments where it's like you're not glad that something energetically happened, but to be able to take a valuable lesson from something from the past and have it implement and kind of course correct in the present, that in itself does feel like a bit of the energetic breakthrough that's occurring. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that's healing the unhealed karmic connections via the connections with one another. And that's always difficult because that's that moment that we find each other where we are. And what's beautiful about this is not energy that's taking that personally. This isn't also energy that's projecting the wounds of the past onto the present. They're just being very mindful about articulating them in the process. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union right now, this is more about having to be like, I see that there's a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union that's trying to stay and maintain a lot of energetic focus in relationality to pathwork of purpose. And it's requiring a lot of that work even here. I see prioritizing what they can put their time, effort, and energy towards right now. And so we see a lot of that austerity that's potentially coming to play here, but a lot of that energy trying to do so in such a way of, again, trying to move forward in such a way that you don't want energy to take something energetically personally, but recognizing to a certain extent that you can't necessarily control how others experience something. You can just kind of hope that they match your own frequency. We see even here, like that is a little bit of that hurdle or difficulty, because I see even now, like this is a lot of that energy that's looking at some of those experiences and hoping that they can heal something while experiencing something observationally in the present that's giving clarity about the fact that it feels like it's not possible. That is where we were. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are subscribed, my private readings are done over video. And if you are, and please remember, if you book a private reading, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Also, please keep in mind that we are now doing as well, I've got a couple of updates that I want to let you guys know about on top of my daily collective reads. We are also having right now, if you please go over to my Substack, we are doing classes on the tarot. Our next class on the tarot will be focused on the Hierophant. The Hierophant card is a very fascinating card. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be able to go over it with you. If you would like to join that class program, simply head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your subscription to my Substack will grant you access and entry into our monthly live class. You'll also have access to all of the course materials and recordings for any of our previous classes. So if you've missed any of our classes, you have ample opportunity to catch up. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we are learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you'll also receive a mentorship class with me wherein we will assess where you are in your own personal tarot journey, and I'll give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to focus on in these classes was making them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already participating in those classes, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next one. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services that we may be having. I also post my weekly live schedule there so that you can stay up to date on when I'll be live. I also offer there any updates to giveaways. Speaking of which, we have just pulled the winner for our August giveaway. We are now in the process of doing our September giveaway. If you would like to become a part of that giveaway to win a free reading with me, simply head over to my Linktree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway, but if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend. When I pull the winner, I will be giving away a free reading not only to the person who wins, but also to the person who referred them. So thank you so much if you've already entered, and I hope that you win this. And I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Also, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings now, I am now offering a couple of different services. I now offer mentorship classes, which can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute classes, one per week over the span of a month. And these can be focused on whatever area or course of study that you are interested in learning about. I take a very limited number of clients for that reason on those classes. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to be offering weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, one per week over the span of a month, so that you can stay more consistent on your own personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.